Creative Guild, you can look forward to this in the coming year or two. What this is the exhibition that follows a successful junior critique. So in your third year, you have a critique as a class with all faculty members, and it's a good way for everyone to take the temperature of where you're at and get some good feedback from faculty and have a discussion about your work as you prepare for your senior show. So what I'll have everybody do is introduce themselves. I'll say your names and then you can talk more about your pieces, and then also how this exhibition maybe has shaped your relationship with your work, and also how now you might be thinking about your senior show next year, because this is kind of a laboratory towards that. So this is Kayla Lorenz, Zoe Durston, Elise Wetzel, and Everett Renshaw. So all of them are going to be showing next year in their final thesis exhibition. So anyway, so do you want to take it away, point out which are your pieces and talk about them?
This is one of my pieces, and then my other one's on the other side of the wall. But this is a drawing that I made in drawing 1, and it was based off of a prompt that was just to take a picture of some building or something on campus and just try to show like perspective and depth on it. I don't really draw anymore. I'm a graphic design major, so I do a lot of my work digitally. And then my other piece, which is
on the other side. It's on the other side. Yeah, I'm sorry.
This is just another piece I made. I feel like seeing this up in the gallery, this is the first time that I've ever printed out one of my digital pieces, so I feel like this was kind of a nice way for me to see how it will look not on a computer, because I feel like I can get really detailed into work, obviously, when I'm able to zoom in, so this was nice to see it as is. I made this in digital illustration, and the prompt was just to use some patterns, so I used a pattern for the brick wall in the back, and then a very, very small pattern on the shirt that you can't see unless you get really close up, but yeah.
Did you say this is the first time you've used the Plotter Printer Lab?
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Yes.
So if you don't know what that is, it's a resource for all North Park students in the library. You can make an appointment with Seamus Smith, and it's a huge plotter printer on a big roll of paper, and it can print. It comes out of your North Park printing account, and you have access to it. So. Yeah, so that's a good thing to get under your belt in your junior year for your senior year, before your senior year. That's great. Good. Yeah, and do you think like you talked about not really drawing anymore, but is the drawing techniques good preparation for digital work too?
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest thing with I just like prefer to work digitally, but I feel like drawing just has like helped me with more of like the creative and like planning process, because when I work digitally, sometimes I don't plan and I'll just like start putting things on the computer. So I feel like going through drawing and all of these other classes has helped me to like physically put work on paper before I create it digitally.
Good. I think we'll go through everybody and then we'll ask questions at the end, if that's okay. All right, so since we're here, Everett, do you want to go next?
Yeah, since they're both planned here, it's I called it the creative arts. I was thinking about like the arts card, or not the queen card. Sometimes it has like little hearts on it.
Right.
Like Valentine's coming up, so it's kind of a little character based off of that. Yeah, it's kind of like a sequence of events. Like you got the one on the left first. They're like wearing a hoodie, just my opinion. So I'm glad that one could look good either way. So yeah, I didn't make it for a class. I was just drawing them out like digitally. But yeah, I still liked making it a lot, even if it wasn't for an assignment. So if you want me to move on to the other piece?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's all the way up with you. So this thing also didn't make it for an assignment. It was just Chicago, and my friend dared me to like, take a photo and draw it, so I just kind of sketched it out right there with a pencil. Yeah, so this is just like the city here. See the street, there's people on it, and the buildings left and right in the background. I was sitting on a chair, my soda cup. Yeah. So
Great.
that's all I have to say.
Good. Now I kind of want to ask questions, but I just said we're not going to ask questions.
Right.
But so since we're here, maybe Zoe, can you talk about I think there are 3 pieces in the show, right?
Yeah. So this one and the other one over there are part of the same series. I also very much works in progress, but a lot of my work has to do with my family and loved ones. I like capturing moments of them. For this one, the prompt for this was just a final painting project, so no specific direction, just kind of wherever we wanted to go with it. I got kind of trapped in painting portraits of my family, or just capturing their face or body, like isolated, but I really wanted to kind of take pictures of them doing mundane things in the house. They are posed, but it's something they would be doing regardless. So yeah, that's this one, and kind of an explanation for that one as well. Just family members doing random things around the house. Yeah. And of course, I try to include my cats in a lot of the things that I do because they're extra family members for us. So yeah, and then drawing here is another one of mine. Don't remember if there was a specific prompt for this one, but it was for drawing free. I think this was another kind of loose, go whatever direction you want to go in kind of thing. This is a moment of me and my boyfriend in Iceland. Just felt like a very surreal moment in my life, and I wanted to capture it in as much detail as possible. Another work in progress, so you can see there's an unfinished part of it there, but I have a feeling I'm going to be working on it for a long time, so it had to go in now. But yeah.
And thank you. Elise, the next.
I have this painting here, and then I have a print over there. This painting is part of a series that I did for my Painting 2 class, and I chose the theme of underwater because I wanted to see how many different ways I could kind of manipulate that prompt. And when I paint, I like to take a variety of different references and kind of combine it into a whole new image. And the other painting was for the printmaking class. I don't think that one had a prompt, but printmaking was really interesting for me because it's so much different than painting. You really have to plan it out. So that was a little of a fun challenge for me, and I like thinking about it as if it were like a tattoo, because you have thick lines and you're trying to create a lot of contrast. Yeah.
Great. So I kind of Kayla answered this a little bit in her presentation, but I'm curious to know more about sort of like how you see the work differently up, especially since it's not just yours and it's sort of on this pristine white background in this context, and how that might have changed your relationship to it or opinions about it or feelings about the future. And I also like how all of you kind of talked about prompts for classes, but also different challenges that came up, like, or even if it came just from your friend who dared you to draw something, right? And challenges that emerge in the work. So if anybody has anything that they want to say about the usefulness of having the context or the usefulness of having challenges or prompts, you can take that in any direction. And of course, anybody can ask anything too. So anybody have anything to say about that? Yeah.
I think with the display part of it, this was a work I kind of wanted to push it aside. It's unfinished, and at this point, I never plan on finishing it, but once it's up, it kind of gives a different feeling of satisfaction. Like, it may not be finished, but at least I can do something with it.
I think going off of like the display, or seeing up in the gallery especially, because it's not like very crowded and it is up against the light background, I feel like it feels quieter, if that makes sense, because I feel like if I'm looking at my work, like especially when I'm working digitally, like I have so much going on, not on my artboard.
Right.
And so seeing it just like placed and framed was super nice. And then I think for prompts, I like having a prompt because I like being given like directions and being able to follow something, and even if they're kind of like loose directions, it gives me a starting point.
Good to keep in mind for next year that that can come from a class, and then you can kind of take it on your own. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with what Elise was saying about the, like seeing, I mean, an unfinished, I say unfinished because yours looks finished and mine doesn't, but seeing these two especially up on the wall like this does make me more excited to get back into it. And then as for prompts, I do think they're helpful. I start making stuff that at first I might not think relates to like my bigger picture, for like just trying to think of what I would want my body of work to, the themes around that. I'll start with a prompt that maybe I don't see the connection, but I think working through it sometimes helps me to expand my ideas of what themes I want to explore. So, and it always ends up connecting back in some way to like my family or friends or loved ones. So I do think prompts are helpful.
Kind of curious if, now that these are up, I'm assuming probably some of your friends have seen some of the work, maybe people that hadn't seen some of the pieces. How has that been, like getting, like maybe people that aren't normally like in the studio with you, art majors, seeing your work, and how has that affected, maybe changed the way you think about it, or affirmed some of the direction you're going with it? It's good for anyone.
Or if it gives you ideas for what to do next.
Yeah,
too.
right.
I think for me, like, most of the people that I know came here that I'm friends with are athletes. And so I feel like a lot of them, when they walked by, they were like, I've never even set foot in here. And they thought it was just cool because I told them, like, it was just the four of us that put our work in, and they thought it was cool that we could fill a gallery. And I was trying to explain, like, well, next year we have to do it on our own. But I think that kind of just, like, for me at least, it put into perspective, like, how people like will come and they like will show up, and I feel like for me that kind of gives me an idea of like what I want to do, like knowing like the different groups of people that are going to walk by, whether they're going to class or you're telling them to go. So
Yeah. That's really great to hear. I'm so glad that you're all thinking about like display play, prompts, audience specificity, like, it's really such a huge affirmation that like doing the junior show in the gallery is a very good idea. And also, I just to echo what you said, like I got a huge kick out of like when we were hanging the show and everything was against this one wall, and all of you were like, I can print out another thing, and like I got this other thing that I could show, and you all were like in panic mode, like we don't have enough, and it just like came up, and it's enough, and it holds the space, and it gives everything room to breathe, and it just, hopefully that is also confidence building, that like really 8 pieces is enough. Like we have 9, but 8 is enough. You know, you could have 1 on that wall, but anyway, so that's great to hear. And then Everett, do you have like other characters that like the prompt could be in your mind, like that there's this bigger world that you're building, and character development can be a huge prompt. Even like that small gesture of being like, I want them to take their hoods off, and then I can see what their hair is like underneath, right? Like that's just another prompt to do something else, right? So do you have more like that?
Ideas in mind?
Yeah, or just like other kind of character development, world building stuff.
Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
do, but I'm not going to show it right
No,
now.
I just want to,
Oh, you're just asking.
just curious, yeah.
But you want me to share the idea?
No, you don't have to
Oh.
share anything, but is
But
that a
your
helpful
thoughts
way
about
of?
it if you have them,
Yeah.
right? Like, how is it making you think about, like, having this up? Are you thinking about, like, what the world is, or who the figures are, like,
Yeah, I am.
yeah.
So, it's getting taken care of.
Evasive action.
Okay, good. Does anybody else have any questions? Wow. It's a big milestone to finish your junior crits and your junior show, and it's checked off. So thank you so much. Congratulations.